Stay tuned, we have DJ Pressure in the studio. He'll be joining us now in 2 seconds. Like and share out the show for a chance to win 2 tickets to Mr. C gig in the Hangar, Andrews Lane. Winners will be announced at the end of the show. Thanks for joining us in the Kickscreen TV studio. I'm standing there with the legendary DJ Pressure. Thanks very much for joining us.
A pleasure. Got here in the end anyway. Yeah, you've been trying to get me for a while, yeah.
Yeah, and the train didn't help at all, did it?
No, I'm here now anyway, so.
Pressure will be bringing us through the journey of his illicit career, 25 years of DJing in all the clubs around Ireland. I'm going to kick off with this question. It's a question about the start of his career. You're into all types of music, and your first record or your first track you bought was Gary Newman.
Yeah, our friends Electric, yeah, Two-Way Army, yeah.
What was it that got you into the dance music?
Well, I always loved music. I think coming out of the 80s, I was into new romantic stuff, a lot of Human League and stuff like that. And I was on a holiday in London in 1990 with a friend of mine. He brought me to my first rave. It was only kicking off over there. I went to the Astoria, the Crazy Club at the bottom of Oxford Street, just on Tottenham Court Road. And to say it blew me away would be sorry, folks, we just thought you interrupted there. But anyway, yeah, he brought me to it, and to say it changed my life would be an understatement. But that's how I first got into dance music, you know. I came back to Dublin. There was nothing really over here, and then I used to get tapes, cassettes sent over from the UK, from a friend over there, but Kiss FM over the UK, you know, Steve Jackson, people like that. But that was right at the beginning of it, and I started buying vinyl then probably about 6 months later. I would have bought my first dance record in Abbey Discs when it used to be in the Abbey Mall. I just happened to be walking through one day, and I heard a song that I'd heard when I was in the UK. I couldn't believe it. I went in, and that was the beginning of it. It was Come Together Primal Screen. It was the Andy Weatherall mix. Yeah, it was the first dance track I bought. That's where it all began. I never wanted to be a DJ. I was just collect records. I always collected music, you know. I still have my Gary Newman 7-inch that I bought when I was 8 or 9, I think, in Easton's. Yeah, Easton's used to sell record in the basement. 50 pence, 7-inch vinyl, 50 pence and old money. But so yeah, that was the beginning of it for me, you know.
You're going to give us a track now What's the track's name?
It's called We Are E. I heard this the first night, the first dance event I was at in London. Heard loads of brilliant music there that night. It was sort of Italian house, piano house. I would have heard things like Nomad, I Want to Give You Devotion, Enjoy, Adrenaline. Heard, what else would I have heard back there? Enjoy, Anthem, CNC Music Factory. Before everybody dance, things like that. But they used to playing stuff that had breakbeats in it, and this is the one tune that stuck in my head more than else. I hadn't heard anything like this before. Now, to any of your listeners, they might sound a bit primitive for them, but this is where it all began. Like this is the stuff and this would still be in my top 10 of all time. And this is called We Are E, and it's by Dance Bad.
What a tune, if I do say so myself. So in 1992, you got your first taste of clubbing in Dublin. Where was it, and can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. I was a couple of girls I know had asked me. I met them in town one night and asked me had I been down to Sides. I was there in Sides around '89. We would have been playing indie stuff, the Smiths and things like that type of stuff. But I hadn't been down since I started playing dance music there. So we went down anyway. It was mostly a gay club at the time, but there was an influx of straight people coming for the music and the atmosphere, So I went down there. Now, it would have been around the time of, I think Liam Dollard would have been starting off there, and Tony Walsh and Mick Fitz, people like that. Back in the day, people wouldn't have known DJ names or anything like that. It was just the music, But that was the first proper club. I think you had the Olympic Ballroom opened then around that time as well, But we used to go to Sides back in the day, loads of great tunes. It was still the Acid House days. There was a mixture of your bleeps and blops, LFO, stuff like that, or psychotropic hypnosis. And then you also had your Italian piano house. The whole ecstasy thing was coming in then as well, with the uplifting breakdowns and stuff like that, a lot of vocally stuff. And the mix and match of everything really back then, but this is when, just prior to the whole thing really kicking off big time, but it was great. I went to see Gary Clayle down there. I don't know if you ever heard of Gary Clayle on U Sound System. No, Human Nature is a great song anyway, but he did a PA down there, and seen Rosalla play down there as well. Yeah, everybody's free. It was a great old club, and then obviously that sort of petered out and other clubs happened, and then it opened again with Gravity with Mick Walsh and all later on around 93 to 94. But my favourite tune anyway from that Sides era will be this one here. This was the tune that I always done. Check out the rap, and this is a real old school UK rap, the best. It's absolutely amazing tune. This is a homeboy and hippie and a funky dread, Total Confusion.
Total confusion! Total confusion! Total confusion! Radio stations, I question their blackness. They call us a black, but we'll see if the latest.
Don't forget to share the show, guys, for a chance to win 2 tickets to the Mr. C gig in the Hangar. Just like and share the show, and at the end of the show we'll be picking out the winner.
Radio stations, I question their blackness. They call us a black, but we'll see if the latest.
Jeez, what another track. I just want to know personally myself, like, what sort of numbers were going to the gigs at that stage, and what was your first ever gig? What was the first gig you ever played?
Okay, well, basically, the whole thing was kicking off. Like, the size was a small enough venue. It was always full. I don't know, maybe I held about 250, 300, something like that on 2 floors. Wasn't a huge club, you know, but it was a great atmosphere in it. But then you had you would have the Olympic Ballroom opened back then as well, and that would have been doing, I don't know, open the door and it's full, basically. 800, 1,000 people, you know. My first gig would have been, no, I don't know, anybody knows me knows, well, I was a reluctant DJ back in the day. I didn't want to be one, but it sort of just was at my friends at the time were saying, no, you should try. And all the first set of decks I ever had were a set of record players, Sony record players, with no pitch control on them or anything. I just basically wanted to like collecting vinyl and making compilation tapes for myself and my friends, nothing else, you know. I mean, but anyway, first gig I was asked, there was would I do a 21st out in, this is my first paid gig as well, like I got 50 quid for it, a lot of money back, but out in a GA club out in Donamead or something. They had basically a normal 21st, and then they got all the grannies out or whatever, and then all the lads changed into their rave gear, and so I played there. It went okay, it was pretty good, but later on that night, when it was over, I got a taxi into the Mansion House, because the first cyclone zone was happening in the Mansion House that night, and I got a taxi in to meet my friends there, and I had my box of records with me. And when I was going in, I got chatting to the promoter. He said to me, I did not DJing, give us tape, blah blah blah. So that's where my involvement in the Cyclone Zone started then, you know. We did 2 more in the Mansion House. There would have been hardcore breakbeat stuff. We had Fabio and Groove Rider, 2 for Joy. We had the Ragged Twins. We had we got 2 Unlimited, and we also did the Prodigy and SL2 in McGonagall's. That's just up the road from the Mansion House. It's now, we used to call it System, and it was called Glitterball there recently. It's number 22, I think they call it. But McGonagall's was a rocker place, but we rented out, and we had the Prodigy, me, and SL2. It was a breakbeat thing at the time, but like there's 150 people there, maybe something like that, you know. But SL2 or Slipmat and Lime, that's from XL, you know, recordings. That's where the Mansion House was. Now the Mansion House, basically, we hadn't more booked, but we couldn't do it because the roof was starting to cave in the place, so they had to close it down because it was you know, a listed building and all that. So basically, we did the Prodigy and SL2 and McGonagall's, and that would have brought us up to around 93, something like that, you know, early 94, you know. And so I'm going to play a tune now from the Mansion House, the sort of breakbeat, early sort of Belgium Euro breakbeat influences, quadrophonia.
The best of today's high-fidelity stereophonic records can virtually duplicate the sound of a symphony orchestra. The best of today's high-fidelity stereophonic records can virtually duplicate the sound of a symphony orchestra.
Thanks for joining us, Kickstream TV Studios. DJ Pressure's on now. Is Jonies and Dance. Like and share the show for a chance to win 2 tickets to the Mr. C gig in the Hangar. You always had a love for the breakbeat hardcore. Why do you think it never took off in Ireland?
Yeah, it didn't take off over here actually. Unfortunately, it was my first love when it came to dance music. It was only around '94 when I started playing trance and sort of UK house and that. Why did it not take off over here? There was never any really so-called urban black culture over here. You know, we were always a few years behind the UK anyway, so we tended to. We think we just basically passed by the whole hardcore era and started properly around '94 with house and trance stuff that was coming out of Germany and Belgium and Holland, places like that. You know, I'm just going to finish this sort of section of the Journeys and Dance with one of my favourite landmark breakbeat tunes. Would have been around '92, '93. Top 10 of all time. I recently got to play this about a year and a half ago in a club, which was delighted when I was doing a breakbeat gig for the Energy Collective. But great night. People don't know what they were missing. But anyway, this is Dance Conspiracy Dub War, Part 1.
about the ragamuffin business and thing. Then we never tell you about the ragamuffin business and thing.
ever tell you about the ragamuffin business and thing?
You touched on the fact that you're a little bit shy to get into the DJing yourself. Who really gave you the push? What was the push that gave you, what would you say, that got you into the DJing? And what was your first big break playing out?
Okay, well, I was playing breakbeats at the time, and there wasn't really demand for it in Dublin, apart from the big one-offs, as I said, like the Mansion House, and there was Heaven on Earth at the Point as well, which was an amazing gig as well. Basically, my friends, you know, would say, you play better music than some of them, you can mix as well as them, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't want to, I was a bit shy. But eventually, I was just forced by my friends to give it a go, you know. And the world didn't end, so I sort of got confident, a bit more confidence then. But well, my first break came when a friend of mine, Paul Farrell, he was actually went on to be the manager in the Asylum. I hadn't seen him for about a year, and I bumped into him. He said, "Oh, I've taken over the club, the Asylum. Come down some night, you know." So I went down, had a look. They were playing breakbeats in it, but there was only about 20 people in it. It just didn't suit the venue, the breakbeat. It was too intense. But anyway, he was back at my house afterwards, and I was just playing him a few tunes, like a couple of things that I collected, like that were house or trancey type of things that I liked. Then I was mixing them around, and he said, "Would you come down and do a set in the club some night, you know?" And I was like, no, because I was just used to the break beats and mixing them and stuff. But anyway, eventually he managed to twist my arm, and I went down. I did the first hour, and one night, and it went really well. And then the following week I was back again, and then I was on second, and then one night there was a bit of a malfunction. Dilly had to get off the decks. He was on last at the time, but yeah, they asked me to go back on, so I went back on, and that was really the beginning of every night, every Saturday night after that. I used to do like 3, 4, 5 hour sets, you know, from 3 in the morning to late in the morning, you know. But brilliant club, great atmosphere. It was just it was a real honeymoon period for music as well. There was some amazing music coming out at the time, you know, and I'm going to play one or two ones that stand out for me personally. I know there's so many other people maybe like, but this is probably my favourite tune from the Asylum here. This is Airborne Mirage on IQ Records.
Can you tell us what your early memories of the Asylum was? And this is a question a lot of our viewers are going to want to know. Where did you get the name Pressure?
Well, I got the name. I used to be called Robbie for my sins before that. But I made a series of breakbeat mixes, and I used to sell them in Music Power in the Arch at the Halfpenny Bridge there, and they sold pretty well actually. I was shocked, but they were called Breakbeat Pressure 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. But anyway, when I first started playing in the Asylum, my friend Paul, who was the manager there, just said to me one night, actually the first or second night I was playing there, said, "Why don't you just change your name to Pressure?" I went, "All right, I don't mind." I was easy with it, you know. So that's where the name came from, you know. But highlights from the Asylum, being asked to sign first autograph, be shocked. Having 100 people queuing up at the end of the night to buy our CD or cassettes at the time to get autographs. We had Chris Eubank was in there one night, the boxer. Yeah, he was fighting in the point against Steve Collins at the time, but he came down after the fight. He arrived in with his two muscle men, you know. Nice guy actually, you know. And then we had Carl Cox down there as well. It was a big night, but it was just the opening hours because they opened at 8 o'clock, but the music, it was all about the music that was coming in at the brilliant ear for music, you know. Dilly used to bring loads of stuff down. He worked in the record shop up the north, Snafu, and he used to bring down all the best and new stuff and that, you know. That's where I got a lot of my early big tunes, you know. So it's just we were only open from when it really kicked off to being, you know, full every week to we probably got about a year out, I'd say, you know, before we were finally the authorities managed legally to close it down, you know. But so I'm going to play one more tune from this side that stands out for me. This is from the late great Jam and Spoon. Mark Spoon sadly died a few years back, but these Jam and Spoon were the pioneers. They did the Age of Love. Obviously everyone knows that. But these, you know, these were the guys who were just light years ahead of everybody. And this tune just stood out like a work of art amongst all the brilliant music that was coming on. This is Jam and Spoon, Follow Me.
Follow me, 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 follow me.
Like and share out the show, guys, for 2 tickets to the Mr. C gig in the Hangar. All you need to do is like and share. We'll be announcing the winner at the end of the show, so make sure to be in for a chance to win the tickets. With the abrupt ending of the Asylum, where was it the clubbers and yourself ventured to then?
Okay, around that time, the Ormond had just opened. I think I'd done 1 or 2 events. I think maybe there might have been a Sound Crowd event there. So I did, when I was still playing in the Asylum, I did, the first time in the Ormond was, I did Atlantic Ocean and The Grid. And then the Asylum closed down, and I did I started a residency actually in the Waterfront, Columbia Mills, just down the docks there in Dublin, myself and Mark Kavanagh, and we were there every week. Like Mark did the first 2 hours, I did the last 2 hours, but I have to say it was, people don't really talk about it that much, but it was actually my favourite club to ever play in Dublin. It's just every week new music, you know, you could play what you wanted, the crowd were behind you, opened the door, the place was full, but so really, it was like the Asylum, but just done a bit more professionally. At the time it was done right. I was a better DJ, I was more confident, better selection of music, and it didn't have any stigma attached to it, you know, that maybe the Asylum might have got towards the end, you know. But so that was the Waterfront. I did that, and then there was all these one-offers down in the Ormond Multimedia Centre. That's where we did they brought the Cyclones on back. We had a JX entrance, myself, I think it was Ubiquity, you know, Bolivian Angel, and a few others. But that's Battle of the Giant Part 1. But that went on to be a pretty legendary night. That night, we could have sold the place out 5 times. It was just unreal. But so yeah, that's where it went basically, to the Ormond really, I suppose, long term. The Olympic Ballroom reopened again. I haven't been closed for a couple of years, and I was asked to do a residency up there as well. So I had 3 Dublin residencies going on a Saturday night for about 6 months. It's crazy, man, going from one to the other. But the Ormond was a great venue. It's where I launched my first production, Pride, people will know it as. So yeah, I did a PA and a sort of pressure like thing with myself, and I think it was Mark Kavanagh and me doing a PA as well. So I'm going to play Pride now, my own single. So the first tune released on Abbey Discs label, Abbey Dance, and it was the first Irish dance track, not the first dance track to go into the Irish top 10. We were in the top 10 for I don't know, about 5-6 months, and in the top 20 for about 9 months in the Irish charts, you know. So it was a great success all around, you know. So a lot of fond memories. I'll play Pride now by DJ Pressure.
Fantastic track, Pride. Very, very rare tune, so it is. My friend Derek Red O'Sullivan only got it there about 2 or 3 years ago. Very, very lucky to get his hands on it. When was it that you got into the production, and what made you start producing music?
Well, I got into it by accident. Basically, when I started in the Waterfront with Mark Cavan and that, I sort of got to know Mark. I'd done a few gigs for him and MCD. We done the basketball arena in Tala. We did the Point Depot, Dance Nation, things like that. Did a tour with the Sound Crowd. But basically, I went out to the studio. I got to meet Timmy, Mr. Spring, Tim Hannigan, the producer of Sound Crowd. But and we basically just, me and Timmy clicked it off as, both had a great passion for producing music. He could push the buttons, but I had the ideas in my head that I wanted anyway. So I thought we worked pretty well together. So I went out one day to Timmy, to the studio, and I worked on a SoundCloud remix that he was doing at the time with him. It was Easy Does It, was the name of the track. But so I did that with him. I didn't get credit for it, but I enjoyed it anyway. So I went out again. I did a tune with him the following week, and it was nearly there. It was pretty good. I still have it at home, but we just went out again. And the following day, actually, we ended up making Pride. And so Billy and Abby Disc wanted to hear it at the time, and he asked me, and he said, would I be interested in putting it out as his first tune on his label? So yeah, the rest is all history, as they say, So yeah, that's how I got into production. I don't push the buttons like Tim Hannigan's the computer whiz kid, But I think I bring some experience from the dance floor, to what will work and what won't work, So the next tune I'm going to play is from the Ormond. It's from the last night of the Ormond. Probably it was the biggest tune of the night, The tune I'd only got a month or so beforehand. I was doing a gig in the Ormond Multimedia Centre, and I was looking for a tune that I'd heard on a mix CD from the UK called Got to Learn by, I think it was Matt Derry or somebody made it. But anyway, I couldn't get it anywhere, and I asked Dilly, and Dilly said he had it in his record bag. And I said to him, I'll give you 100 quid for it. He said, no, I won't, I can't, So I said, I'll give you 150 quid for it. No. He said, I can't take that money for it. He says, tell you what I'll do. He says, I'll give you 2 tunes, so he wouldn't feel as bad. So I said, yeah, go for it. So this was the other tune that he gave me at the time. And so it went on to be, I suppose, one of my all-time classic tunes, It was the tune of the night, the last night of the Ormond, back in 2007. This is Greg D and Fifi, Le Odyssey of Love.
You're tuning into Kickstream TV and we got DJ Pressure in the house. We're running a competition for the Mr. C gig in the Hangar Andrews Lane. If you want to share out the show and give it a like, you're in the competition for a win. With closure of the Omen in 1997, where was it next for you? And what was your next steps into the scene, into the DJing?
2007, wasn't it? Am I right? 2007? No, 97, yes. Okay. Doing ahead of myself. Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things. I think there was Subterranea was on as well. Club FM used to, Pat Keefe ran Subterranea. I did a Friday night residency there for a while, and I was, all the time I'm always guesting around the country, you know. I was a resident Panama Jackson, you know, the Traveller's friend in TF Theatre up in the theatre where I like something called up in Castlebar. I had residency down in Limerick, in Kerry, in Cork, you know. So like if there was nothing happening in Dublin, there's plenty happening outside it. But the next big thing really for Dublin really was the Temple Theatre opened, and Pat O'Keefe took it over from Club FM and started running nights in there. And I suppose it was a brilliant club, beautiful venue, and Pat, I was playing down there, and Pat asked me to come down and check out more of Picotto sometime because he had him down there and he said he was brilliant, you know. So I went down one bank holiday weekend, a Sunday night, to see Picotto. Now, this was around the time The Lizard would have been released, and I have to say, while his mixing wasn't the best, the tunes that he was playing were just unbelievable. It just gave me a whole new outlook on that. It was like it was Italian. It was basically him. He had what's his name? Not Ricky Leroy. Ricky F. He was the producer in the studio, and Morrow was the DJ basically, and he was the front man for us, you know. But he asked me to come down to see Morrow playing. I went down. I have to say, it was the tunes. Like, I mean, it wasn't even the mixing or the flow. It's just the tunes were so. It was techie. It was banging. It was dirty. You know. I mean, then it had like escape routes and nice breakdowns and things like that. You know, real underground stuff. And really starting. I really like this direction of music, and I started sort of playing a bit more techie. You know, banging techie, but you know, but with sort of some trancey stuff in it as well, you know. But a wonderful club, you know. The crowd were well up for it. That's where Dublin went for the next few years. You know, I was a resident down the Temple from time to time. I did a crypt and upstairs and that type of thing. But they had loads of great acts on down there all the time, you know. But Picotto's nights were the best. Now, you know, some of the tunes he was playing back then. He was playing them off CDJ 100 as well. You know, they were just out at the time. They were the first ones, you know. And like even the jog wheel for mixing wasn't a jog wheel; it was just an effects wheel. Yeah. And you could only mix using the pitch. You know, like the jog wheel as we know it now, like as a copy of a Technic, isn't like that. And I have one at home actually, CDJ 100. But it's just an effects unit, you know. You had your echo and things like that, and then you spun the wheel and it gave it all that type of thing. All real primitive stuff, you know. But so you're playing a lot of stuff off CD, so presume would have been very hard to mix as well off one of them, you know. So CDs hadn't even come out, and CDJs hadn't come out properly. He actually brought his own one with him into the club because there was none in there at the time. But so I could say that was definitely a landmark. You know, night for me that night. I seen him, the tunes he was playing. I was just thinking like, we could play tunes like that and we mix them better. You know what I mean? Like it's really a lot more underground. You know. So I'm going to play a tune now that. Picotto was one that came from Picotto's stable back in the day. This is called Darush, IRA.
the place.
liking and sharing the show, because we'll be giving the announcement now in a while for the 2 tickets for the Mr. C gig in Hangar. What a show, I have to say, what a show. We're going to venture a bit closer to home now, and we're going to find out where in Loud you are playing. There's a lot of clubs in Loud you're playing. This is one our local listeners are really going to want to know.
Yeah, I've had a fairly good fan base up around this neck of the woods. I used to play in Luciano's, when it was Luciano's before, in the Boyne Valley Hotel back in the day. I suppose I would be around 94, 95, something like that, but it used to be a brilliant club. Like, you'd go into it and it was like stuff to the gills, you know. It's different. They changed it around then afterwards when that closed down, and it reopened under the Kiss logo and Kiss nightclub. And I think Pat O'Keefe took over Club FM, took over running it. So I had a residency up here as well. I also played the last set and the last night of the Kiss when it closed down as well. Yeah, I always remember it was a great night. Where else I played up around here? Fusion, is that around Fusion as well? I played there. I've played in Rossnaree, yeah, and I was the Oasis in Carrickmacross, Cross, a great venue that. I played with Robert Miles there as part of a tour, 3-day tour I did with him around the time of Children. Was it? Yeah. It's closed down now, yeah.
The hotel's reopened.
Oh, was it? Right, sorry. Yeah, I used to love playing there. I did 2FM sessions tour there as well. Mr. Spring, John Power, he with Tall Paul there as well. Played there a few times. A great venue, you know. How many did it hold? 4,000. The first time I played there, I remember it was never ending when I walked in right to the back of the venue, you know. And they sort of changed it a bit then over the years. I think it made it a bit smaller. Something.
Upstairs and bridges, Jesus, everything it in there.
Yeah.
It was up on a tower at one stage.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And I played in Paz nightclub as well back in the day up in Dundalk. Played there quite a lot. Good spot. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think Mick wasn't running it at the time. I think somebody else was running at the time, but he played there. I think that's where he got in there, sort of with the owners, running it himself. But I always remember the thing about Paz nightclub. The crowd were great. They were well up for it, but it was the only DJ box in the world that had a soundproof glass around it, so you couldn't, mix. Basically, with your time delay, you couldn't hear what was going on out on the floor. Yeah. So, and he'd no monitor. No monitor the first time, and I said it to him, like, he'd literally be like with the door open, hanging out with one headphone in.
Trade, as far as I know, Trade was like that as well.
No, Trade didn't have it. No.
You sure it was not? It was a
Turnals.
DJ booth.
Turnals.
Because I remember hearing a story that Tony DeWitt used to stick his head out there. No, it didn't have a glass container. It was bizarre. Like, I remember saying to him at the time, man, you got it. It's a great spot, you know. You used to like playing there, but so you got to sort this out, get a monitor. No monitor, so you're basically got time delay from mixing from the floor, you know what I mean, or out the door or whatever way, you know. So I asked him would he just get a monitor for the next time that I was down there, you know. And I arrived down and he said, I have the speaker here and all the monitor, the whole lot for you know. And then
you had the wrong connection for it and all like this, so I had to do it again. It was a nightmare, but it was a good spot, and I think Mick took it over then after that. Mick Walsh for a while, but I had a residency in not a monthly, sorry, bi-monthly residency in the Crown Cock, the Gate. Roosters, it was a good old spot. Roosters there. I think I did the last night there as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think I might have played the last set there as well. I always remember one night you two were playing in Slane, and sorry about that. Yeah, you two were playing in Slane. We arrived in, the place was empty. You know, I wasn't due until the end. You know, I was there one night, and just about 1:45 or whatever, so they all came in from Slane. You know, and brilliant night. I think that was the night you might have been talking with your friend. I was saying you had a good night there. Where else have I played down around here? There's a couple more clubs around here I played.
Maybe.
I don't know, I'm terrible for names there, you know.
Puddinhill, maybe.
I never played in Puddinhill. That was sort of a hard house sort of setup. That. There's another club I played just down there, the hotel. I can't remember the name of it. Big out spot, nice place.
Down in Dundalk, was it?
No, here in Drogheda. Yeah. Yeah, and I played in Mosney as well at Homelands. What?
Nightclub.
I've never played or have ever been in Earth nightclub. I have to say, there would be more commercial sort of, you know, celebrity sort of appearance type things. You know what I mean? Like with or Carnation Street actors and stuff like that. Yeah, that type of thing. Yeah, Keith. I know Keith actually. He's a nice guy. But no, they used to have people over from celebrities appearing in Club M in Dublin. It was a sister club of Earth. The guy who owns Earth owns Club M. In Temple Bar, yeah. But so we had a similar type of setup there. So yeah, anywhere that had me, I played basically. I've played at a few parties up here as well, and down Navan as well, not so far away, you know. Yeah. We did was it Navan Exhibition Centre or something? We had a big gig there, 20,000 people. It must have been. Did you know the place? It was Ultrasonic, Top Buzz, me, Mark Kavanagh, Soundcrowd, that type of thing. You know, it was a big event. Loads of clubs in Navan as well. So yeah, I was kept busy around this neck of the woods. So the last tune I played, anyway, folks, was Sacco Man Metamorph. It was also from Mauro Picotto's BXR UK label. So from the Temple Theatre. The next tune I play is called Cascades. It's a different mix of it than people would know it as Drax Amphetamine, but it came out originally under Cascades. This is mix 2. I've heard Picotto starting one night in the Temple Theatre with this. It's nasty. Enjoy.
another absolute stomper of a track. Can you tell the listeners what the track was and myself?
Yeah, it's Cascade is the name of it. It's part 2. It's a different mix. People, as I said, there's a different version of it called Drax Amphetamine that came out in Pro Cult. This was a different one that was on ZYX. I don't actually know the name. I think it's called Mix 2 anyway, but it's Cascades is the name of it. So I'm going to play one more tune from Temple Theatre era. This is Leandra Gomez and Body Shaker.
We're going to go a little bit more current for the music now, and I'm just going to ask you now, what do you think of the scene now at the minute? What sort of music are you listening to, and what do you think of the technology that they're using nowadays?
Well, the scene at the moment, we can never recreate the perfect storm we had at the beginning, where it was like it was all new, all the music was new and fresh, people were all new and fresh to the scene. It was all like the happy vibe, the honeymoon vibe. So I think the whole scene over the years became too divided, too pigeonholed. You had like people just into specific types of music rather than just going out to raves or the dance clubs. So I think alcohol, I think other substances entered the clubs in that weren't good for it, like I don't know, snow or whatever. So basically what you have today is you've background music being mixed by CDJs, basically, you know. People just get a few downloads and they think they want to be a DJ, you know. There's and DJs aren't getting paid anymore. Like it's just been a race to the bottom, basically, for clubs and club owners. They're not prepared to pay big money for DJs. I think the scene was killed itself from the inside out. It was driven by greed from a certain few people, and then once there was money in the scene, that brought in other people, bad elements to the scene. So I think it went its natural course. We'll never go back to the way we were, but like what we have now is like a sort of plastic get pissed rave type of situation setup, where you've just got, like, as I say, with people like, you know, not teenagers, say early 20s playing like music from 20 years ago, old school nights. They weren't even around then. It's playing them off USB sticks and stuff like that. That's not what it's about, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just old fashioned or whatever, like, but you need to learn your craft, you need to learn your trade. I mean, and that's through all the bad experiences as well as the good ones you have grown. There's no shortcut to being good, and experience can't be downloaded or bought on the net. So, look, I'm as good a DJ as I am from learning, like from things not going to plan in clubs regarding sound equipment, this type of records jumping things, whatever. Like you'll be, like I could write a book on it, but so. Basically, I think the scene today is too much built on the look of the whole thing. Like where we have like the Paris Hilton DJing and other so-called celebrities DJing, and like oh, yeah, all of them, you know. I mean, it's just like, I mean, like if you're a good-looking girl, you're going to get on quicker than even if you're a shit-hot young boy DJ, male DJ, you know. So it's all about appearance now a lot, you know. People are in the gym before they go to a club, you know what I mean, whereas before they used to be in their bedroom getting their sets ready, you know, or whatever. But I feel in the last couple of years, 3 years, say, there has been an upturn. Like the whole scene sort of started going downhill shortly, I reckon, before we had the financial crash here, you know. There's always you can always tell, you know, when people have stopped spending whatever disposable income they had on entertainment. They kept it for necessities, so it was fairly flat, and it started coming back now. There was some good old school. We did a cyclone zone in the Tivoli with Utah Saints and McNally and Nelson and Alternate and Mark Archer and myself. But that was a great night. There's been some good reunion nights, but I just, you know, with Asylum ones, for example. But I just feel like it's been flooded again with just old school nights all the time, you know. Like, I mean, there's good music being made today as well. You know, it's just that some people don't want to hear it. All the music they like from down the years was new once, you know. They had that attitude like 15, 20 years ago. They'd never heard half of their favourite songs, you know. As regards to digital DJing or whatever, whether it's on, you know, using Ableton or on a laptop, or whether it's using CDJs or whatever, it's all very well. There are advantages to it. You can make a tune or remix a tune and have it play on a CD or to play that night if you want to. You don't have to go and get it pressed onto vinyl. So it opens up a lot more tunes or bits of tunes that you might have liked. But I just thought one of these people thinks that if you don't have a record on vinyl, you don't have it. That's basically it, you know.
Would you think now that the fact that records aren't being bought now, and when the records started to go out and it started changing the CD, that everybody had that tune, so DJs didn't. It was devalued.
Yeah, it was devalued. Oh, well, absolutely, yeah, totally. You know, you know, like sometimes I get some stick about, like, I mean, I wouldn't tell people the names of certain tunes I might have played down the years, but they have to understand. Like, I mean, if I gave out names of certain songs back in the day, I mean, they would have been just played to death on, like, whether it's pirate radio or whatever, or bootlegged, you know, into shit white labels and everything, this or something, you know. But and therefore it would have lost all its appeal. If you heard a song 100 times that week and then you go out to the club and you hear it on that night, it's just like you might as well be driving around the car listening to it. Whereas if this was the only time you got to hear that tune in the last 2 or 3 months, you know, whether it's from me or somebody else, I mean, it meant so much more, you know. So it always gave me, I don't know, like something unique, a unique selling point, as opposed to just playing the same stuff as everybody else, you know. So I don't like the way, maybe, you know, you're almost told now by promoters or expected from crowds to play certain stuff, you know what I mean? Like why don't they go up and DJ if they want to hear those songs, you know what I mean? This is my interpretation or whatever, you know, that way. Like, it's, you could stick around and play a greatest hits CD, don't even bother mixing them or anything or whatever, you know, and just like you don't even need a DJ then, that's the case, you know. So anyway, state of the scene at the moment, EDM is king, but it's also shit. It's just I don't know, it's like a bad, an even worse version than hard house. It's just morphed into commercial music. It's all about pumping your guns and, you know, like, it's all about parents and yobos on mics and things like that. But there is one actually EDM tune I brought. I'm going to play it now that I do like. I was put onto this by a friend of mine, Sinead, who told me she'd kill me if I didn't play it tonight. This is actually a good tune, the only EDM tune I like. So this is Dimitri from Vegas with his partner in crime, Live Mike. I think Martin Garrix is the producer on it. Anyway, here we go.
We'll come to the end of the show, the Journey and Dance show, hosted by DJ Pressure. Thanks very much, Pressure, for coming in.
My pleasure.
I got a few quick fire questions here. I got one question off a friend of mine in the barbershop earlier on, John Stowe. I said I'd give him a shout out.
Hello, John.
His question was, what was the best club you ever played?
As a resident, it would have been the Waterfront, Columbia Mills. Probably followed by the Asylum after that. They were my favourite two residencies I would have had. Yeah, venues is different. The Point Depot, the Dance Nation. I played in the Point 4 or 5 times, so I used to love playing there because I live right beside it, and my mum was really chuffed and proud, so it was all good,
Played a couple of festivals too.
Oh yeah, I played all the homelands. I played Creamfields. It was a good lineup actually on the stage we were on. We had Beck, Paul Oakenfold. If you ever get a chance, check out that 1997 Creamfields in Punchestown. Serious lineup: Chemical Brothers, Fatboy Slim, Dave Clark. All the big names. You'd never get a lineup like that nowadays. But yeah, I did all the festivals. Yeah. But I would like the Point Depot now. As a venue to play in.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I was in it plenty of times.
Yeah.
I was in Creamfields as well.
Yeah.
Your favourite DJ to play alongside?
I used to go on fairly well. Did a lot of gigs with Carl Cox. I thought he was an absolute gentleman. While I wouldn't always be into everything that he played, but as a person, he's a great mixer. Great scratching and stuff like that. And he's got better as the years went on. Actually, that tune I played earlier, that Total Confusion, I think it was the second one I played earlier. Cox was doing the last night of Privilege, was that in the closing down? Amnesia. It's in the last night in Amnesia, 6 hour set or something like that. But the last song he played in the club ever was Total Confusion. That one I played earlier on, So tons of it. Carl Cox, yeah. Or Tony DeVitt as well, was a really good DJ as well back in the day before he left us,
What was the worst gig you ever played?
God, a few contenders there. I played. I did a Christmas Eve gig of all bloody things down in Wexford once, somewhere along the coast, Blackwater like that. It was in a big hotel, held about 800. I'd say there was 5 people there. It was probably the wrong night to do a gig, but I went on and played anyway. But that was one that springs to mind anyway. Yeah, I did another one in Clonus once. I'd never played ever. I just got booked. I was told it was a dance club. I went up and the resident DJ was playing all commercial stuff, and I went on and I kept it as commercial as I could, but it's just not happening, So I was delighted when they said that he could go back on. They paid me, and I got the hell out of Dodge, But yeah, that's a couple that spring to mind anyway.
Can you tell us one of your craziest nights over your 25 years?
Yeah, there's loads of stories I could tell you. I don't know. Somebody asked me would I sleep with his girlfriend, so we could say DJ Pressure slept with his girlfriend. So obviously I said no. There's lots of stories. I don't know. I know we're past the watershed, but I don't know. There could be legal action taken if I start telling you some of the stories. But suffice to say, I've had plenty of interesting stories. Just watch this space for my book when it comes out one day.
This is a very tough question, and maybe you can answer, maybe you can't. Your favourite track of all time?
I probably can't answer that because it tends to change. Favourite track of all time. So many, it just wouldn't be fair. Favourite track of all time. I'll do the next tune I'm going to play is my last one, but it would definitely be in my top 10 anyway. See, it could be a break between. I like regular music as well. I like bands like Radiohead and Alt J and people like that, and Kasabian and I love the Chemical Brothers.
You like Alice in Chains?
Who?
Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chain. Alice in Chains. Chains, plural. I don't really know much about them, so I'm going to plead.
Pass them on.
Yeah.
I like them myself.
Yeah, okay, right. Well, then they must be good. So, best tune, I don't know, Tic Tac Toe, the breakbeat tune from 92, 93. It's called Diesel Imperial, but suffice to say it's a monster of a tune, but not a lot of people would know it over here, but I do like that tune, I have to say. This would be my top 10 as well, so I'm going to just sign off with this tune, Chasing Status and Blind Face. An absolute, it's a breaks tune, but it's just sampled a lot of old school tunes like Sweet Sensations, you know, Shades of Rhythm, things like that. Brilliant singing in it, the whole lot. So this would have been my favourite tune of the year, maybe 3 years ago whenever it came out, you know. So we finish up on this, yeah? All right, okay, all right. Oh, we know what you mean.
I am a man with a heavy heart, and I dare not turn the pages. Fighting with automatic self-destruction. It's a blind faith, a cruel waste, one bitter day. So I know I need this sweet sensation. What is a man now to do with his mind when it's working overtime? The best I can do is now dance with the dead. I keep my soul safe. I won't waste this time and space. So I know I need this sweet sensation. I am a man with a heavy heart. I am a man with a heavy heart. It's a blind faith, a cruel waste, one bitter day. So I know I need this sweet sensation.
What a show. Thanks very much, Rob, for coming in.
No problem.
DJ Pressure. Pressure's been one of the DJs that I've been trying to get down the last couple of months and really, really wanted him to come into the studio. I'd like to take this minute to thank all the viewers that liked, shared and commented on the show. We're going to do the competition now, so I'll get Rob to pick out a name of the hat.
Liverpool play. It's Steve O'Connor, sorry. Shane O'Connor.
Yeah.
Shane O'Connor.
So the winner of the 2 tickets for the Mr. C gig is Shane O'Connor. Shane will be in contact with you very, very soon. Thanks very much, folks. That's the end of tonight's show, and what a great show it was. Good luck. Goodbye.